Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So man, it's been a while, hasn't it? I would say by this time it's been about 9 months since I have done the last update to this channel, and there's reasons for that. And with this video I'm not going to show off anything new. I just want to kind of go over what's happened and where I've been over the last 8 or 9 months, so that you just kind of know what's been going on, because it's been kind of an interesting, I guess, near a year. uh, Not something that I planned on happening. I planned on this whole situation to be absolved within a couple of months of me moving. So I have moved. I'm no longer in Washington State. I want to kind of go over uh, what made me decide to do this move, and what the journey has been over the last several months because of that move. So, starting at the beginning, back in, well, let's go back a couple of years. Me and the roommate that I had in Washington State, we had gotten this apartment. It was not a bad apartment. It was nice. It was smaller, but it was nice. It was a two-bedroom apartment, and we were paying about, I think it was $14.95, and we were fine with that. We both had fairly good jobs that allowed us to pay for that comfortably. That's why I was able to do as much collecting as I did at the time, and we were fine. We always knew we were going to end up having to move from there eventually, or leave the that particular complex, because no living situation is 100% permanent, especially with the rising costs of living and housing costs. So we were fine. We figured what we would do is we would get ourselves in a good financial position, or at least that's what I figured that I would use the situation for, because I had goals in my life that, and still have those goals, to be accomplished, and that would mean, of course, that I would have to make my living expenses as little as possible. So, I was paying about 750 ish, something like that, per month on a job that was making me about 18 an hour. So, that was a good situation. Well, 18 an hour as of the job that I had and still have at the time of me moving. Now, on that first year, they decided, the company that owned the apartment complex decided to raise rent, which we knew was going to happen eventually. What they did was they only raised it by $100, which is actually pretty cheap compared to what they could have done. This raise was going to was announced in October, I think it was, of 2021. That sounds right. So October 2021, or maybe it was a month before, and it brought it up to like 15.95 total. Again, it was only going to be a $50 raise between the two of us, so we were fine with that. We signed on for our second year at this place. But then, a year later, or before I go on to that year later, they also said that this would not take effect until 3 months into the second year's lease, so we wouldn't be paying that extra $100 between the two of us until January of 2022. So January 1st, 2022, we started having to pay that. And of course, when you pay your rent, that's for the month ahead of you. So that January rent would cover January as a month of living expenses for that. So we went an extra 3 months without having to pay that 100 extra, which was feasible in our mind. Uh, and we were going along pretty good even after that. I had gotten a massive raise from about 15 and some change all the way up to 18, um, which was just phenomenal. And then I think it was about April or May, I can't remember which, we got notice that our rent would be going up again at the time that we signed our lease. Only this time, they weren't going to wait to the end of the year, so starting with the January rent of 2022, 23, and letting us go the 3 months between the re signing of the lease for our third year and that January to um, actually have that increase take effect. So we were like, oh, okay. But then we looked at the price. Now, they had, for some reason, they thought that I was the head, I think, probably because most of the time I was coming in and talking to them about different things, things that I saw. So I think they took me. I think he was more the head of the household, honestly. But for some reason, they disagreed with that. I'm not sure why that was, but okay, they communicated this increase through me. And instead of $100 raise in rent, which we probably would have been fine with, it was something like $250 to $300 in one shot, and they weren't going to allow us to wait until uh, the next year started to have to pay for that. So we sat down and I communicated this to him, and bless his soul, I love him to death, and I agree with him on this. He was like, I'm gonna have to say no to that because it's too much of an increase at one time. And it's too expensive. And I agree with that. It was too expensive. The apartment that we had, where it was a two-bedroom apartment and fairly spacious for what you would get for that, um, it also didn't include in-unit washer and dryer, which would, at that price, would be something important to me. Being Washington State and not having normally hit the high temperatures it has in the last couple of years, and I see that they're about to hit those kind of temperatures again, it didn't include like central air. And I'll get to that. This apartment that I'm in now does have it. I'll get to that in a moment. Um, or I should say I'll get to that later, but we didn't think that what amenities that particular complex offered matched the price that they were asking for. So we ultimately decided we're going to move on. Now, at first, we were going to because we really enjoyed being each other's roommate. Um, we left each other alone when we needed to. We did things together, like go to the movies. We watched all of the new Marvel stuff, all the new Star Wars stuff that came out on Disney Plus. We watched all this stuff together and watched movies together. And we genuinely had a good roommate and relationship and a very good friendship at the same time. And I like to think that we still have that good friendship, even though I haven't talked to him in a while. Sorry, my dude. I'm getting back to you. Don't worry. Don't think I forgot about you. Um, we just couldn't do that price, so we started looking for a different place to live. A lot of the places that we were finding were just like before. Were not in particularly good neighborhoods. And we didn't want that kind of thing for ourselves. I don't know what kind of area he's living in now, but we were just like, man, everything's so expensive. Come in, a very good friend of mine from here in the area that I'm in now. In fact, I live in the same complex he does. He came to me. I was telling him about this, and he goes, "Well, why don't you just move here?" And I'm like, "Well, why? What's so good?" He goes, "Well, the cost of living is cheaper here. compared to what you're paying out there. He just kind of laid out everything, and then I sat down, and it took me about a week or two to really really think everything through, and he was absolutely right. I mean, the apartment I'm in now, again in the same complex that this friend is in, I'm only paying about, well, I'm paying $9.90 a month for it, but it also has central air. It's in a security building, and the where it's not in unit washer and dryer, it is in the building. So at the laundromat is in the building, and each building has its own. So there's at least that to be thankful for. Um, again, I'm making 18 an hour, which I now make 18.70 an hour. So I've gotten a raise in the meantime. Um, I saw the prices. I looked at the area. It looked like a really nice area, and I made the decision to uh, pick up my life and move it out here to Illinois. I'm not going to share where in Illinois I am at, of course, because we don't want that. But it's never a good idea to give quite that much information. But it is much cheaper as a cost of living where I am now than it was back in. As a matter of fact, this apartment I have on my own without the help of others, which is actually pretty phenomenal. Um, yeah, I made that decision. So our lease, I started getting things together, getting the moving pod situation together, because I knew I was going to have to transport my things, but I don't drive, so I can't exactly, drive a U-Haul out here. So I had to use a shipping pod system, which I did through U-Haul, and there will be a video on that as well, because that was an experience by itself. But made the decision, got myself moved out here. I actually moved out here officially on October 5th is when I took the flight. I think it was October 5th when I took the flight out here, uh, leaving Washington in my past. And again, I have nothing against Washington. Washington is just a beautiful state. It has some beautiful skylines. Going through the Cascades, the few times I have, has always been a just breathtaking experience. From where I was, you could see Mount Rainier in the distance, which for several years, and I should have known this. A little funny side point: Mount Rainier is a volcano, and I've always been fascinated by volcanoes. It's a classic cone shape, and I totally didn't put two and two together for several years until one of my coworkers mentioned it, and I'm like, oh crap, that's right. I think it was a coworker that mentioned that. I was like, oh, so I've been living in the shadow of a volcano all this time and not realized it. But a little funny side note there. But left Washington, got here. Now, in order to prepare, one of the big things that I knew about with the company that I work for, it's a national company, and it has both franchises and it has corporate stores. And I work in the convenience store sector, I guess you call it. And one of the great things about them is that when you move from a place where you might get hired off the street at a higher pay rate because of the minimum wage, and you decide to move to a place that would normally pay you much less because the minimum wage is much lower, they will not adjust your pay rate down to match what they would hire in the area that you're moving to. And I felt that that was going to give me a very good financial leg up by making this move. So I talked with my friend out here in Illinois more, and I made that decision based on that, and based on being more central in the country, and knowing what the winters were going to be like here. Although we did have a pretty mild winter for the area, surprisingly, but made that move, and I had to find a corporate store to transfer my job to, and I found that corporate store. So in doing that, this is where trouble started beginning, um, because it hasn't been all roses out here, and it took me a while to actually find a place to live. So my first expectation in moving out here was that the complex would have something available within a month of me being here, and I worked a lot of hours, extra hours that I didn't have to work while I was still in Washington to build up the funds to get the plane ticket, um, to get the money I needed to uh, ship my belongings out here, to make sure that I had first month and security deposit for where I am now. And I thought I had beaten the odds, because one thing that we are really known for, because mind you, I'm not from Washington originally either. I'm originally from central New York State, which is a very snow ridden area. Uh, you're talking school cancellation, level of snow, massive nor'easter type storms that come through every now and then, cold temperatures. 2007, I was in, if for those you weather junkies out there, the Triple Lake Effect event that happened in 2007 in central New York, or New York State in general. I was in that, and it was awful. One of the things that we all understand living in these areas that are affected by extreme winter weather is that when you hit a certain point in the year, as you're heading into winter, the rental market shuts its doors basically, because nobody wants to move during that time. It's a pain in the butt. It's messy because of the snow and the inclement weather. It's cold, and when you get into a new apartment, you start getting heating bills straight out of the gate that are massively expensive. And I was hoping I had beaten all that to the punch, but I didn't. And that's where the trouble began. Um, and the trouble really began prior to that, because I had asked the store manager that was at this particular location at the time about the store, and I had mentioned that my store has a bakery section where I mean, it's all like the stuff is pre-made, so to speak, but you just have to bake it. So it comes in uh, like cookies come in puck forms, pastries come in, they're preformed, come preformed for you. You just have to set them on a tray and put them in the oven. Uh, Not exactly the type of baking that I like to do, but I was the person that was the lead on the store's hot food and bakery section, and I figured if I could get a store that had those things in it, and they needed a leg up on it because of how much success I had in the method that I was using to increase sales on it in my own store, my original store. I could bring that experience to this new location and increase their sales and make myself valuable there that way. And the store manager at the time told me, yeah, we have all of that, and we just have a couple of things that we need to do. We're having trouble with, and having the extra person is going to be great. I need a mid shift person to work like 10 to 6, or 12 to 8 or something to that effect. And none of it was true. I got off the plane on October 5th, 2022, and my friend that had got me to move out here, which I'm eternally thankful for because I love it here, had invited me up to dinner because he wanted me to, my first experience, our first meal within the area, to be a home cooked meal because he loves to cook like I love to bake. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna take a lift from the hotel I was starting out in, um, and I was going to stop by the store and then walk the rest of the way to my friend's place, because it would give me an idea of what kind of walk I was looking at to get from point A to point B for work on a daily basis. So I did that, and without them ever knowing who I was when I walked in there, right? Excuse me. I walk into the store, and the first thing that I notice is they have a hot food section, but no bakery at all. They didn't even have the oven for it that we would need to be able to run a bakery. And I was shocked and I was a bit upset, but I was here. And it was too late to go back. It was too late to transfer back. It was too late to um, catch a flight back there to and have everything reverse. Everything was on its way, and I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna have to make the best of it. They still need a mid-shift person, and it's still going to be 40 a week, so I can do that. Let's get the ball rolling on getting the apartment, getting securing a permanent place to live. Well, permanent, um, you know, so on and so forth. Excuse me. Well, that all didn't happen. Uh, I went a couple of weeks, actually about a month, I think it was, living out of the hotel. Um, the place that I wanted had already closed up. Anything that they had available, they told me, oh, well, at first it was going to be, we have something available in November. Then they told me they would have something available in December. Okay, a little longer than I wanted to spend in a hotel. And then they told me January. January turned into February. February turned, well, essentially turned into May, which is when I finally got the apartment that I'm sitting in now. So I went that long without having an actual place to live, and what I ended up doing, because hotels are super, super expensive. I mean, the hotel I started out with was this crappy little hotel that had a kitchenette in it in each of the rooms. So it was basically just the refrigerator and microwave, but it was expensive. It was about $68 a night, and that sounds cheap, but when you're staying in something long term, that's actually quite ridiculous. So, and certainly more than I would have been paying in an actual apartment. So I turned to, somebody made a suggestion of Airbnb, so I turned to Airbnb and found something cheaper, which ended up becoming my home for several months. And thank you, M&T. I'm not going to say your names fully here, but you guys have been amazing during all of this. You have become like a second family to me, and I appreciate what you did. Um, so I ended up, finding a place finally. But in that time, because they didn't have what they had, what they said they had at the workplace, that put me at a bit of a disadvantage. They didn't have a mid shift actually available to me. And to make matters worse, they also cut my hours pretty low. At one point, I was getting anywhere between 24 and 32 hours per week, which was not conducive to me being able to survive. And unfortunately, I practically wiped out my entire savings and my entire investment accounts before that person finally transferred to another store and proceeded to ruin that store too. It basically left me broke, except for a very few things that I was able to save. Um, so that put me at a financial disadvantage. Thankfully, I was in the Airbnb by that time. We got a new manager who um, who is and always will be one of my favorite managers that I've ever had. Uh, Come to find out, there was absolutely no reason for me to have that low hour. I'm not sure what the reason for her knocking my hours down were, but it was not okay. Um, and now I'm basically rebuilding what I lost. Uh, and I had a pretty good investment account for only 3 years in, because I had been investing for 3 years, and it's just about all gone. We're only just starting to, or I'm only just starting to rebuild that. So that's basically the story of me moving out here. It took me from October 5th to just about the end of May to finally get an apartment. Of course, the one I'm in now, and of course, this is a permanent place. I'm not intending on moving again for several years. Will it happen again? Maybe eventually. But right now I'm happy where I am, and I'm very much loving it. As you can see, I have this really cool brick wall, and it is real brick. It's not a facade behind me, and this kind of made the whole apartment for me, because I it's weird to love a brick wall so much, but um, it just gives it so much character. So that brings us to what's next. What is the next step? Of course, the investment account is wiped out for the most part. What I want to do is I want to rebuild that. This is an investment channel. This is very much a Sonic channel. So the plans for the channel, which is going to be the thing that is most valid here, are going to be. I've got some plans. So obviously, I'm going to continue my collection updates, because I have been able to collect some things while I've been going through all of this. It brought me a little bit of joy, not as much as I'd like, but a little bit of joy. As a matter of fact, I've got to shoot some collection update videos. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be about 3 videos. I thought it was 4 at first, but it's going to be 3. And then I've got 3 first for figures unboxings, because I did get the Shadow Super Shadow combo when it came out. I started paying for that prior to me moving, so I just continued that. And actually, they had been paid for in full just before I moved, and I also had started paying on the 30th anniversary statue that they made. So I've got to unbox that. Those are coming. I'm not sure exactly when they're coming. I have them. They're in boxes right now. But we'll get there as soon as I can. Beyond that, there's a few plans that I need to I need to see to accomplishing. First of all, you see the brick wall. I want to get back into streaming. Now, what I'm working on right now, I pointed out this brick wall. What I want to do is I want to take that brick wall and make it my background to my streams with all of my collection with it, because I just think it looks really cool. At least it does to me. You see, I've already started setting up with my plush collection, which I have added to. I want to get the unit that the plushes are sitting on. I want to get an exact copy of that, and I want to put it right next to it, and I want to set up as much other things as I possibly can on that. And then I need to get a long desk that will sit in front of it, and I need to get another chair as well, because I threw out both my computer desk and my gamer chair, because they had reached their limit, and I figured when I got out here I'd just buy another desk and chair, which I'm still going to do. Obviously, I got to. I have my computer set up next to my futon. Not exactly the best spot for it, but it will work for now. and I'll do what I can with it in the intern. But that's going to be set up over there. Now, the reason I want a long desk is that when I do unboxings and I do uh, collection updates, I have something where I'm not so crowded like I was. And I also want to get a pole of some kind that I can use to make my, instead of the extreme close ups that I have um, in my other videos, prior videos, uh, I want to have a pole that pushes the camera out and gives me a wider shot of both the collection behind me and to be able to Vanna White the things that I'm showing on screen. So, improve the quality of my videos. Now, the next cool thing that I want to do is I want to update this computer that I'm on right now, because this is a gaming computer, but it's a gaming computer. I have an HD60 video capture card. I tried my hand at streaming one time, and I want to get back to that again. But one of the things that I would like to do with that is I'd like to find a way to get as many of the old Sonic games as possible. Um, the ones that were like mainstream console games. I don't like emulators, so I'm not going to use an emulator. So, like, if you see me playing the old Sonic cartridge game, for instance, I'm actually playing it on a Sega Genesis, that kind of thing, and I want to cut these up into smaller fragments, say half an hour fragments, and I want to do Let's Plays with all of them, as many as I can find. So it's not it's still a Sonic channel, but it's not just collection related. It's as much Sonic related as I possibly can. I also want to put together that Lego Sonic Green Hill set together, which I still haven't done. I've shown it. I've shown the box or the unboxing of it, but I haven't ever put it together. So I need to do that, and I want to do it on camera again, cutting it up into several videos. And I also want to get back into streaming proper. I haven't decided whether I want to do it here on YouTube or I want to do it over on Twitch. So I want to play games live on as a streamer, which will not be limited to Sonic games, mind you. This will be something that is pretty much any game that I can get my hands on. My whole setup for those games were, or for my streaming, was having grown up as a Jehovah's Witness. There was a lot of games and game types that I wouldn't be allowed to play as a witness because of the subject matter and what it contained. So what I want to do is I want to take those type of games and I want to play them live as a first time. Oh, hey, I get to play. You get to see all the fails, all the successes live as we go. I want to get that done. And that, because there's so many of them out there, I've never played that, could go for years. But another thing that I love to do is I love to crochet. So that's another thing. I want to live stream, have like a crafting stream once a week, maybe once every other week, of me crocheting and chatting and whatnot, and maybe even teaching that. I haven't decided to the extent of what I want to do with that part of it, but I definitely want to do a crafting stream. I also want to learn how to sew or use a sewing machine so I can do that as a craft as well on camera. And now I have a kitchen that's all to myself. It's a galley style kitchen. So if you wonder what that is, for those of you that don't know, I'm sure you do, but just in case, it's just one long kitchen. It's a basically basic apartment fare, but I'm thinking if I can figure out a way to install a camera that I can point into the kitchen and specifically down at what I'm doing and get a good shot of it, I can do like a baking stream, because I love to bake. So do something like that. Um, so there's just a number of things that I want to do. Now, I just mentioned that I crochet. So one of the other things that I want to do is I've already started reworking or retooling my Etsy shop for this. I want to sell my crochet items. So what I have done is I have retooled the Etsy shop that I have. I've taken everything off. I'm going to take new pictures of all the items that I have. For small items, I got a photo box that I can use to take good quality pictures of small items that I make, and I want to sell them on Etsy. Excuse me, getting a little bit of heartburn here. But I want to get that up and running in the next few days. I'm going to actually start taking those pictures and getting at least the what is it called? Words. What is it called? Okay, this is what. See, my brain does this to me sometimes. Um, wow, I legitimately can't think of the words. It's not posting them, but making sure they're ready to be posted. And for some reason, the proper word for this is not coming to me, and it's really actually annoying me. Give me a quick second, because now I have to know. Draft. That's the word I wanted. I don't know why. It's a simple word. I don't know why I couldn't remember it. But I'm setting up the drafts of each posting, and then when I'm ready, I'm going to post them all at one time to make sure that there's plenty in the shop to be purchased. When that happens, in one of the videos that I make, I will post a link to it right now because there's nothing there. I don't want to post the link yet. So I want to do a this has gone live announcement. I'm also designing Afghans for purchase. Um, well, both for purchase. Well, they're all for purchase, but one of the Afghans I'm designing is going to be something that is more oriented toward commission sales, custom sales. I like the word custom better, so I'm going to have that done as soon as possible. And like I said, I have ample time to be able to do that. We'll get it done. They're not going to be the world's greatest pictures because it is a camera phone, and I don't have much to be able to display them on. But we'll do the best I can with what I got. Um, so and I think to start out, if anything does sell in that shop once it is open, it's going to go toward uh, getting a new computer because the HD 360 or HD 60 that I have, the physical equipment works fine itself, the actual 60, but the computer is old. It was old when I bought it, and I'm surprised this lasted this long. But now, with its age, it is up to a point where um, the drivers for the 60 doesn't like the equipment that it's being run on. It will capture video, it'll capture webcam, but it won't capture any sound it'll capture sound from me if I recall correctly, but it won't capture sound from the in my case it's a switch. It won't capture its sound, so it kind of leaves me at a really bad uh, disadvantage if I want to try to stream with it. So Unfortunate. It is what it is. But these are all things that are going to come with time, and it's going to take a lot of effort on my part to get things done. But otherwise, I am back and getting ready to shoot the updates to my Sonic collection. That will come up shortly. Uh, until then, I'm sorry for being gone so long, and all of those of you that have watched me and followed me and subscribed to me, I appreciate it. And we will see you soon. And let's keep trucking. Let's keep collecting. Let's keep reaching out and making our goals become a reality. Have a great one. Be safe out there. And stay cool. It's just been hot. Have a great one, everyone.